All right, good evening, everybody. It's 6:02. We call the Winthrop Town Council Budget Workshop agenda to order. It's on March 30th, 2026. I'm going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge. So we did that. So let's step down and we have public comment section here. If anybody in the audience that has a public comment or anybody online that has a public comment, this is the time to do it. Not hearing or seeing anything, so let's move right into items 050, discussion of the following department budgets within the proposed fiscal year 27 budget. And it looks like we get starting off with police department and dispatch. Or sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to just set this up really quickly, like 30 seconds. Just a
Please.
reminder, you're going to see some budgets that have some increases in them. Nobody freak out, because just keep in mind, overall 2% increase in expenditures overall on the operating side. And we're actually going to be generating $300,000 more in non-property tax revenue compared to the cost of those expenses. So I was just at a town manager meeting on Friday all day, and I think we would be the envy of the state right now with a 2% overall increase in revenues growing at an even faster pace. The other thing I wanted to mention is that as we go through these budgets, I think that we should maybe be re-examining the fuel and utility line items, because who knows what's going to happen with fuel cost in the coming year. So with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to the chief.
As far as the fuel and utility line items, could we do like a contingency, overall contingency fund, that would cover in all the departments significant increase in fuel?
Yeah. So I'm looking.
We don't really know what's going to happen.
That's for sure. It's a guessing game.
Yeah. So
I'm looking over at our finance director. So we can do that. I'm just looking at how you think might be the best way. Come to the mic. How we might be the best way to do that, simply because the auditor typically likes to see the expenses within each departmental budget.
I do think that would be beneficial, because then we can monitor and say, okay, this was a fluctuation or deviation, and see it's one.
Yeah.
if not, the funds aren't in each mental budget, and the funds can be used for, either, surplus at the end of the year or.
Yeah. Okay. So Nick, do you have any ideas about how we might accomplish that?
I think when I first started, you guys actually had a similar fund in your budget, and it was built into the section of the budget called use of fund balance or what have you. So I guess if we did do something like that, we could place it somewhere in that area and either move it to the departments that need the increases, or keep it there and expend it out of that.
So Nick, was that do you recall, was that its own sort of separate departmental budget, or was that part of the town council budget?
No, it was its own separate, there's a part of the budget called use of fund balance, I believe, and it was in that section right there. That's where if you had a huge amount of carryovers, that's where that would go and stuff like that.
And if we do that, then we could get like a monthly check-in, have we had to move anything out of that, kind of give us an idea of, what direction we'd be trending in.
Yeah. So maybe I think it's a good idea. So maybe what I'd like to task Nick with for the next time that we meet is, Nick, maybe think about this, look at the budget, and maybe come up with a figure that you think might be acceptable.
Okay.
For that use of fund balance.
Okay.
Sound good?
No, Anthony said good idea to you, Roy. Write that down.
Yeah.
Well, you're ahead, right?
Yeah.
Good evening. For everybody out there, and my name is Paul Furlan, Chief of Police for the Monmouth Winthrop Police Department, and I'm here tonight to talk about my Winthrop Police budget. So far this year, my 26 budget was at 1.156242, 1.1 million. Year-to-date expenditures, I'm at, as of the beginning of the month, at 62%, and we should be at 66, so we're well under right now where we're supposed to be. That's for the moment. Total proposed FY 27 PD budget is 1.229738, which is a 6.36% increase. Basically, the 4% of that is due to personnel negotiations with the union and personnel wages. The remainder of it, we've had some increases in some lines. Personnel cost increasing per union contract. You'll see that we redid the manner in which we figure and calculate our OT, because the past 2 years, we've been over both in law enforcement and dispatch overtime budget substantially. And last year was my first budget with you folks. And we went over, like I said, substantially, like $30,000, $35,000 over in that line. So I kind of took a different approach on how to look at that and see why we were going over in that line. And it became very evident to me the minute I started doing the figures that with 13 holidays, that times 10 employees, that's 130. You times that by an overtime wage, and that alone in itself was, I think it was around 45,000 just to pay that line. So we pulled that, and Anthony started a different line through all the budgets just to offset that amount, so we could really take a close look at what the overtime was really costing us. So you'll see that change in the budget.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I think, the holiday pay is pretty easy to budget because it's sort of a straight calculation. The overtime pay is a little more difficult. And so at least with this, we will know exactly what our overtime costs are minus the holiday pay.
Of note, they increased the heating fuel line to 2,500. I'm in hopes that it's not needed. We just spent $18,000 to get both our heating systems communicating with each other. It's hitched up on a computer system, so they're talking to each other and they're not working against each other. So I'm hoping that saves us a bunch of money in that line without being offset by the cost per gallon going up in the future. I'm hoping it comes back down relatively quickly. We have an increase of $6,000 in our computer software increase, and that's for our RMS, our records management system, that we signed a contract on last year to upgrade. And we're in the process of upgrading that now. Bill's been working very hard and diligently making sure that that's done. So that's it on the police budget, where we're at right now. Any questions?
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I got a couple simple ones, hopefully. So just more curious, how were we doing the animal control before? Because we had no line item before on that. Now we have $5 grand.
Yeah, so we've entered into an agreement with Monmouth and Manchester, sharing the cost of an ACO between the three communities. That's why you see that on the line now.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's all I was really wondering. And then the second one I had.
Zach, if I can follow up with just one point about that. So we don't know what the actual cost of that is going to be, because that animal control officer will get a stipend, sort of a straight stipend, but then also get paid hourly for the time that they're actually out in the field doing the work, plus some mileage. So that's just our best guess. It could be a little bit more, it could be less, but we'll know more a year from now.
No, that makes sense. That's why I was asking, because I saw zeros and then the 5. So, and then the second, I got 2 more. So the second one was the building maintenance. I know the police building is one of the older ones. And I know we went over, is the 11,000, do we think that that's good? I know it's just a copy over, but the 2025 or 26? and then- yeah.
That 11,000 is nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So I was wondering if there's any critical needs we should be focusing on there.
There are a lot of critical needs in
yeah.
that building that need to be focused on. We just don't have the money to do it.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. It's kind of what I'm thinking about with the capital improvement stuff. So, and then the only other one that I was trying to understand was this on-call pay, and just trying to understand what that was, and then how we kind of calculated
When we
it.
have an evening like tonight where there's only one officer working, there's a second officer that signs up for on-call.
Mhm.
And when he's on call, he gets $8 an hour to be on call.
Okay.
That's what that represents.
That makes sense. Okay. And that's it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Roy?
So the questions I had to do with the overtime. Are we fully staffed now, or
Yes.
what is the driver of all, the overtime? Is it the fact that we are at times understaffed, or?
We have 5 people that work the road. We got 2 detectives and we have 2 administrators, myself and Josh. When a shift comes open, someone calls out sick or someone's on vacation, we have to fill that shift. And when we fill it, it's at overtime.
So mainly, Roy, that's vacation and sick leave. People covering when someone takes vacation or sick leave.
Jump in on that a little real quick, though. You guys as administrators, you guys are salaried or you're hourly?
We're salaried.
So that wouldn't drive, if you guys were to cover a shift, it wouldn't drive that overtime up, right?
No.
Okay.
And we have,
Right.
Josh has covered shifts.
No, I just was trying to make sure I kind of help understand it myself. So
Yeah.
sorry, Roy, go ahead.
That was I was just looking at this, between the 2 of those, the holiday pay and the overtime, in 101,000, and I just found that a pretty
Just,
significant
you
number.
look back on what we spent last year in overtime.
Yeah. Which is,
We budgeted 75 and we went over in that line considerably.
yeah, you're at 75 right now. And only 2/3 over through the year, so.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, the year-to-date on this is actually behind by about 3 weeks. So all those year-to-date figures will be a little bit more than what they are.
So are
represented
we,
here.
so are we budgeting adequately in that line item?
Well, I think it's going to take us a year of experience in order to determine that. That's why we wanted to break out the holiday pay, because we know what that is. And we think after this year, we'll have a better handle on exactly what the overtime pay is.
I did have one other question, and I don't know if this should be here or the capital expenses, if the discussion should be here or capital, when we discuss the capital expenses, but regarding the cruisers, I know we have, 11 vehicles?
11 vehicles.
So we have 11 vehicles, and we're budgeting essentially for the cost of one of them as a replacement each year in the capital expenses?
Yeah. So Roy, we're hoping tonight to really just focus on the operational costs. We're going to have a whole meeting dedicated to capital cost
Okay,
on
well, that's
on
what
May
I
the
was
4th.
Wondering, yeah.
Yeah, but
I'll save that.
and per our prior discussion, we're also working on an alternate plan to what you have here in your book, in which all of those capital costs would be annualized, and we'll see what that looks like for you guys.
Anything else, Roy? All right, I got a couple questions for you, Paul. So just trying to read my writing, since you guys know it's not very easy. One line item you had in here, I think it was $3,500 for, it's a new line item. You booked it, for look like for ammo.
That in the past has been
in training, it says.
Into the training, built into the training budget. Due to the cost of ammunition going up and due to the cost of the trainings that we're getting now, we decided it would be better to break that out.
Yeah, my question, I don't question it, having it there. I guess I just look at when I look at the training, it didn't go down. So if you move that to that line item to specify it for the ammo, wouldn't that training line item be reduced by a certain number where you're adding a new line item?
It would if the training costs haven't gone up as much as they've gone up.
Okay. That was one of my questions. And this will be probably more towards Anthony. So Anthony, their postage and office supplies, didn't we try to put that all, or is that just here? that
Yeah,
we-
that's just
Just this
here.
building?
Yeah, and
answers
keep,
that.
and keep in mind, the police department has its own administrative assistant over there, and so
Yeah.
she handles all of that.
No, that's,
that's
I just
there.
wanted to make sure I understood that. And then the last one was you were mentioning the heating fuel, probably smart that you're going to bump it up, but with the heat pumps, I know you got electricity bills at a pretty good number as well, but wouldn't that offset and try to drive that heat bill down as well?
That's correct. And that's why we had that computer system put in so that the two systems communicated with each other, because what was happening is that when they put the heat pumps in, they didn't put them in the Sally port, and they didn't put them in the hallways, and they didn't put them in our storage room where all our file room.
Okay.
So we have to keep that oil heat in those areas.
Okay.
Well, this new system that they've done helps them communicate together, because what was happening is the ones that were running off from oil weren't shutting off.
Okay, follow you now.
They
So
were running
hopefully we'll see
24/7,
some,
whether we'd walk into that file room, it'd be 90 degrees in there.
yeah, so we're going to hopefully see some improvement in that anyway. Okay.
And that's where I'm hoping we'll see some savings, but I put 2,500 in because I don't know.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Roy.
Question, and this is more, I guess, budget related, but also policy related with the training. When we spend a fair amount on training for the offices, which is much needed and everything, is that tied to, is that tied to sticking around? Like, as in, is it tied either contractually or just verbal agreement or whatever? If you're providing all kinds of training for the officers, we're training the officers with the intent they're going to stick around
And
to be part of the department.
some of this training is mandated training by the state that we have no choice in, that we have to train on as certain courses we have to train on. It's provided to us by Derigo. Derigo
Yep.
charges anywhere between $250 and $1,000 a course. So if you send someone to $1,000 course, how many, and you got 10 officers,
Oh, it adds up.
that up real quick. So we try to manage who gets what for training and what the needs are of the department, and not just send someone whack-a-dilly to training that they won't benefit us.
Yeah. And hopefully we're sending the ones that plan on sticking around. Yeah.
We've done very good in retaining the officers that we have.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I hope you just didn't jinx us, Roy.
I hope so too.
So I will compliment the chief, again, at the town manager training I was at Friday, there was a lot of buzz about how difficult it was to hire police officers. I think we've been really fortunate here in Winthrop that whenever we've occasionally had an opening, Chief Ferlin and Lieutenant Hammond have been able to recruit some really fine officers for that. And I
They
think
get to work for, so.
and that's true. I mean, that's absolutely true. I think officers are drawn here by the culture that those two guys have set for the department. Absolutely, there is.
Aaron's got one more here.
Paul, can you tell us if you got any like state grants for any patrol incentives or anything like that from the state this year?
For Winthrop, the big grant we've been working on is that federal one for the communications upgrade.
Right.
And that's been forwarded to Department of Justice. The money's there. They have it now. I'm just waiting to hear from the Department of Justice on when we can start the project. when they free that money up. And they said anywhere between 2 and 4 months. So we're
Okay, so
hoping to get
We're looking to
that.
see that start this summer?
We're hoping to get, yes.
Okay. And then do they still give departments funds to do like, I don't know, click it or ticket? Or has that kind of
There-
gone away?
There is money available for like click it a ticket program, speeding program, OUI enforcement. The unfortunate part of that is you have to be a tier 1 agency, meaning that you have a lot of stops. And that's where they're going to prioritize their money, of those departments that have high traffic stop counts. We don't have that. We're chasing down complaints,
Right.
30 calls a day, and we don't have time to get out
Treading
there.
water. Yep.
So it's kind of like a two-sided sword on that.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
I will say that the chief is really good about, the MMA always has some safety grants each year, and he's always the first director to submit his application for those grants.
Yeah, go ahead. Roy's got one more, Paul.
Yes, sir.
One more quick question. Where do we stand? And I know this, I'm only asking this because it affects the budget or affects our outlook on the budget. Where do we stand with merging the two departments currently?
We had about 2 weeks ago, we had a public meeting in Monmouth. People came in, they were kind of apprehensive. They didn't understand it. By the time the meeting was over, it lasted maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. They left feeling a little more comfortable about how we were moving forward with this. The big thing is educating the public. Aaron was there. He stood up and spoke on behalf of the council here and endorsing the idea of it. So I felt good about it by the time it was all over, that people understood a little better. What we learned from that is the general public really doesn't understand and know the benefits of this. So in our next Monmouth newsletter that goes out, there is a whole page dedicated just to what we plan on doing, why we plan on
How,
doing
why,
it.
and the time frame maybe.
Correct.
So Chief, in that regard, do you know, is there going to be a warrant article related to the consolidation for the Monmouth Town Meeting this year?
On June's warrant, yes. And that's just an up or down, yes or no vote, whether people want to go forward with it.
Yeah, and so after that, I mean, the plan is we will assuming that warrant article passes in Monmouth, we'll operationally begin operating as one. We've still got some work to do as far as how we're going to meld all the finances of the two departments together. And frankly, the biggest challenge will be finding a middle ground for the pay scales and the benefits of the officers from both departments.
And then, did we, or have you reached, I don't know, who's going to advise you on how we develop the commission? Have you guys talked about that?
Well, we've talked about having a 5-member commission. I think, Chief, and correct me if I misstate this, the initial thinking was 3 members from Winthrop, 2 members from Monmouth, appointed by the elected bodies from both of those communities. And they would help us in both budget development and in the hiring of future police chiefs. Did I get that right, Chief?
You did.
Awesome. Nothing else? Great. Nothing online, is there, Anthony?
Communications.
I think we're going to hit the dispatch, which still puts Chief Ferlin in the hot seat. Nothing online, was there, Anthony?
What's that?
There was no questions online. was
No,
there?
there's not.
Super. Just want to make sure. It's a separate budget line, yeah. It is right after 28, page 28 in your books.
There you go.
Right. Paul Ferland. I'm the, we're gonna now talk about the communications. Last year, we budgeted $433,785. As of printing on this document here, we were at 60.79% of the budget expended. And we should have been at 66.7, so we're looking good where we're at right now. Total proposed communications budget for FY '27 is $511,565. That's a 17.93% increase over last year. And the reason being is that we would like to add a 6 dispatch position to cover peak hours and to cover overtime and to cover vacations. It would be a float position that would start in January. Instead of doing a full year position, would start one in January to June and then transcend into a full-time position on July of 28, FY '28. And the reason why I did that is just kind of lessen the impact this year, to make it more palatable, even though it's probably not in your eyes, but there is a need for this position. As you are aware, our supervisor, Bill Sullivan, is in charge of dispatch as well as our IT, and our IT is taking up a lot of more time than we ever expected. And he's managing both well, but we're at the point where we need to have that other position in there to fill the vacation voids, to fill the sick calls. And it would, like I said, it would be a floating position. So wherever we needed that person is where we would plug them in. And that position alone, I budgeted $30,000 for the 6-month position. Just because we don't know who we're going to hire and where they're going to fall in the pay scale. So personnel costs increasing, like I said, a 27.5 increase in OT to address past overages in this line. I think last year we went over by 35,000. And again, we did the same thing with this. We broke out the vacation time versus the actual overtime. I think we budgeted 25,000 for that line. And again, we don't know where that's going to fall because this is a new way of doing it, but it's the right way of doing it so we can track it going forward.
I will say one of the interesting things about this process is I think we learn something new every year, every time that we do this. And so one of the lessons from this year is, hey, breaking out that holiday pay for our first responders so that we can really get a good track on the overtime pay.
Of note, we increased to $2,100, and primarily that's going to cover most of the cover all the cost of the new telephone lines. We've run into the backup dispatch center up at the fire department. $3,000 increase due to the RMS software upgrade that eliminates the need, and this is kind of redundant with the police department one. But this is a different software program than what we talked about in the police budget. And dispatch funding fees from the 6 communities that we serve are going to be increasing. And where I am the chief in Monmouth and over here, I am kind of conflicted by this because that affects my taxes directly. And it is what it is. The cost is what it is. With that, you can see the percentage increases, but that's including that new dispatch position that we'll be bringing on, hopefully. with your blessing. So,
Paul, can I ask a question real quick? before
yes, sir.
Do those costs, I guess, account for any of the PSAP fees that we pay?
Yeah. PSAP's on a whole different line, and each community pays their own PSAP fee.
They do.
Yes. So this is revenue and PSAP for us is an expense.
So ours is literally just for Winthrop residents calling for, is it?
Correct. Correct. Like
Monmouth.
Monmouth runs about 23,000.
Okay.
Reedfield runs about 18,000, their PSAP fees. And
So say we go ahead with a PSAP of our own, is it reasonable to look at those as future potential revenue?
correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Something, go ahead, Zach.
In the same vein of the PSAP, this is a question you might not have an answer to. If we were to go down that road in the future, is there a minimum amount of employees we need to have? And that would probably equate to this new position, right, as well? Do you know that?
That would
number?
offset it. You need a minimum 2 people per shift.
Okay, so the minimum's on the shift, so you could have the same people, okay.
And I was just double checking with Nick on the figures. So you see it's about a $50,000 increase in revenue. The overall increase in expenditures is about $78,000. So it accounts for, 2/3 of the increased cost for this particular department.
Roy, anything? Good.
I will say this too, I look back over the last 6 years studying our calls into dispatch. Josh, I printed out a sheet on that on.
Anthony, while he's looking at, do you know how they charge for the PSAP
It's per capita.
per capita? Thank you.
Each PSAP sets their own rates.
Do, okay.
If we had our own, we could kind of set a rate.
That is correct.
Okay.
Really good info for.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, I want to know how we're going to present it. Buy-in.
Okay, so going backwards, I started in 2020, we had 7,377 calls come through our dispatch center. Last year, we had 13,345 calls go through our dispatch center. As of right now, we're at 2,707, and we're coming into the busy months right now. So if you take that 2,707, I think we're in day 89 of the year, divided by 89, then times it by 365, it's going to come out to roughly 11,000 and some odd complaints. But again, we're not into May, June, July, August, and September where our numbers spike. So I expect that this year our numbers will be a little bit greater than last year's at 13,345. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
One question I had was, to lead back to the IT taking up supervisor's time, department head's time. What is it, what's the driver of that? Is it equipment, or is it equipment based, or is it
Software. It's managing that software with the outside vendors. He's working with our consultant FE on developing the plan going forward on how, once we get that money, what step 1 is, what step 2 is. He's been working real diligently with them. So yeah, it's a myriad of stuff that we've kind of neglected in the past that we can't neglect because it catches up to you too quick.
So Roy, one of the things about that operation, that IT operation is it's bound by a lot of different regulations because of the sensitive nature of the information that they're dealing with. And so that makes it a more complex than what we might face here at the town office.
And I would say that, what Bill has done for the police department and the communications division and the town, without having to go back to our IT
Right.
company, has saved us a lot of money.
How about moving forward with this tower? Is all of the work, I realize we're going to still have the same software, similar software, I would imagine. The work with all the equipment and everything, is that going to be redone completely with the,
Everything's going to be brand new in the new tower. We're going to have redundant systems because we can't take one tower down without having the second one ready to go and up and running. The equipment that we have in the old tower is MIPS 5000, which they haven't produced in 5 years. We can't even get parts for it. Our radio vendor can't even get parts for it. He goes out on eBay to try to find parts for us to repair our systems. Someone's shutting down their dispatch center or rebuilding their networks, and they put stuff on eBay. He buys it because he knows we're going to need it. So when we get the new tower up, once we get the new tower and all the radio equipment in place, it's going to be a plug and play. Unplug the old one, plug in the new one.
that will, the new one will operate with everything we have in the police station?
Yes,
Okay.
because everything in the police station, and this grant covers everything brand new consoles, everything. Right, and our idea is there's no good way around that. We've got to do it. Like I said, our old equipment's failing and we're living on borrowed time with it right now. So we've got to get the new dispatch and the 3 consoles that we're going to put in the new dispatch area up and running until a plan is worked out going forward in the future on what we're going to do. It would be beneficial to, because they cover walk-ins and stuff like that when people come in off the street. It could be elsewhere. Yes.
Is there any site work still taking place up on Metcalf at like on the actual site of the tower?
Yeah. Kevin and his crew went up last year, rebuilt the road for us, so it's safe for us to bring equipment up in there. They also dug an area, a test area where the pad's gonna go, so that we know exactly how far down the ledge is, because we have to secure it to a ledge, because this is a freestanding tower. It's not gonna be cabled.
Oh, I see.
So if we didn't hit ledge, in the first 20 feet, our slab has got to be 20 feet thick by, you remember, was it 30 by 30? It was an incredible amount of concrete they were going to need, but fortunately for us, within the first 3 feet, he ran into ledge, so we'll be saving a lot of money on concrete.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you can anchor it into the ledge. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. And that's all, are those costs that we'll be able to recoup from the grant, do you know?
The equipment costs, we can recoup anything, new equipment. The construction work, we cannot.
So this grant, the parameters of the grant were very specific. It was equipment only, not construction.
We'd upfronted that, right? Like already budgeted stuff.
We don't know what the cost is going to be yet because it hasn't been put out to bid.
Put some aside, I thought.
We have.
Oh, yes, we've been,
Oh, yeah.
yes, but it's not going to cover the full cost. And so,
Okay.
at least part of that project is going to be financed and The towns that you see up here, depending
gonna be
upon
able to
which
support that.
portions of the project they're going to benefit from, they'll be contributing to that cost as well.
Okay.
And I want to get back to something that Andy just raised, just so you guys know, I put out feelers for what the cost of police stations have been recently that have been constructed. It's running about $500 per square foot. They're really expensive facilities.
I know Skowhegan just built a dual public safety building for fire and police, and it cost them $8 million, and they didn't go with the Cadillac version. They went with the scaled down version, so it's not cheap.
Yeah, I've seen costs run anywhere from 11 to $47 million, depending upon the facility.
You got extra room in your office?
I can swing a hammer, so.
Great, thank you,
But
Paul.
we'll have extra room
Yeah.
in the new building for him when it's done.
Thank you, Paul, appreciate it.
Sounds like it might be a cell.
All right, thanks again for the police department and dispatch. We're gonna move to the fire department, so we'll get Chief Brooks. You just saved the day.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, evening, whatever it is. Dan Brooks, Fire Chief. We're the good guys. Bringing you our proposed budget for this year. So currently, 241,061 is our budget. As you can see here, we're ahead of the curve, but we do 2 payrolls a year, and we haven't had our second payroll. So that's part of the reason. We are severely in the red in a couple of accounts on maintenance, but for the most part, I think we're tracking pretty well. We got hit pretty hard for some apparatus repairs this year that we don't really budget for large repairs on the trucks because any one thing can wipe it right out. So we cover maintenance and the basics, and we're a little over, but I think we'll be all right at the end. We're looking at 266,994 next year, 10% increase. Part of that driver, though, is that our budget's pretty low to begin with, so any increase is exaggerated a little bit, in my opinion. The big thing is we're trying to transition a couple of things. I probably don't have to tell you that volunteering in this day and age gets harder and harder all the time, and we've seen some of that. So we're looking to increase to create a training officer position, 8 hours a week. And the theory was to try to get that up over 3 years, 8 hours a year for 3 years to 24 hours a week, which would then be used along with my stipend to create a full-time, part-time permanent fire chief down the road. There, currently, the training officer gets 4 hours every other week, or technically 2 hours a week, and we would add 6 more hours to that to get to 8 hours a week. And the 3% increase for everybody else. We also have started this year, with Anthony's permission, I started a $6 an hour on-call pay so that we would have 6 firefighters available for us on holidays, and then would have 1 chief available for us on summer weekends. So being a volunteer organization, we, like anybody else, we take off a lot in the summer, and we were finding ourselves shorthanded and or unknown. I really don't have an idea how many people are around on any one given moment. We do a lot of texting, a lot of communications with each other, but it's really informal. So this was a way to take days like Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, when we're very short-staffed, and say, be available and you can get $6 an hour. The idea was to do up to 6 people at a time. And they would sign up for one to be a supervisor, one to drive the engine, and then a 2-in, 2-out crew. We were not even able to fill that all the time. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't have 6 firefighters around that weekend, but we were requesting them to sign up for 12 hours at a time. And some people would say, well, I'm around, but I'm going to be going somewhere in the afternoon, blah, blah, blah. So it didn't mean that we didn't have 6 people. It just mean we didn't have 6 people that would sign up. But we were able to continue during the times that we did this, which is basically the holidays around the year. We were able to have at least an officer sign on and a driver for the truck, and then usually some personnel. So we also had a pretty big, we added heat pumps in the building, as you know. We had no funding to maintain those. We went to our current HVAC contractor and got a price. And then we went and got a second price here locally with the contractor that put it in. And there was about a $4,000 difference. So this budget shows the lesser of those two, obviously. So that was something that hasn't been in our budget in the past because we didn't have those before. So we had to add for that. What we're looking to do is that, with me right now is Deputy Chief Tyler Arsenault. We have 3 deputy positions. He's the youngest, I think, of the group. And the thought is that myself and him may swap positions in 3 years, roughly, once this funding becomes available. He currently is a full-time Auburn firefighter, so he works 1 day, has 3 days off, so it gives him the availability to fill those slots. Obviously, those type of decisions are, between Anthony and you folks, but this is a suggestion that I'm coming up with. So either way, we would build some funding for someone to be able to do that job part-time. We are currently raising funding to replace our UTV unit. That unit was donated to us, but it's 20 years old. So we are looking to replace that through our golf tournaments and so forth. I will say that we are purchasing a new trailer for that UTV to go on, which the town is paying for, but I have that in my budget, and that's just a small piece of the cost. The $35,000 or whatever it is for the UTV that might be even a little light. We have most of that money already raised, and we're looking to finish that. So just a note for you to realize. We're struggling to keep up with the repairs on apparatus. Our fleet's gotten a little older. I really hoping that this year was a little bit of an anomaly. I mean, I'm talking $3,000 or $4,000 a truck times 3 trucks. So I'm hoping that, and we hadn't done much in a couple of years. So I'm hoping, again, that's a little bit of an anomaly, but we'll have to see that a little bit. And we've had some turnover within the department on a couple different levels. We have some older gentlemen that are retiring. Myself is now getting into that category of the older gentlemen. So there's a bunch of us that are at that pace, but we also, I hate to say it, but we lost a lot of good younger members that have moved out of town, got new jobs out of town. So I got hit on both ends. We have had a really good, I don't want to say recruitment process, but we have brought on several really good firefighters within the last year. But it costs a lot of money to train them, get them up to speed, to get them where we need them to be. So that our training budget, we started to try to increase that for that. I think we actually pulled some of that money back, but it covers us a payroll. Our training budget, you'll see, is like $8,000. That's just to hire people to come in and teach or to send people to programs elsewhere. That's not payroll. Part of the original payroll, the payroll line covers the payroll of the training. So that's just what we spend to pay for a school or to pay an instructor to come in. Just as a clarification.
Currently, right now, do you have the numbers of how many for staffing, firefighter one versus firefighter two individuals?
Yeah, so we,
Even roughly.
technically, we have 23 firefighters on the department. 17 of them are firefighter twos. I think we have 2 that are firefighter ones. We have 2 that will be completing firefighter 2 this spring. And that should leave us with about 2 people that, we have a couple of people that have trained to the firefighter 2 level, but never end tested to that level. So as far as the state is concerned, they can do all those jobs, but they were never certified as firefighter 2s. So we have 1 new hire that is currently starting the program. And I have 1 person that is in college. It's kind of, she's transitioning from being a junior firefighter to being a full-time firefighter. So she has not gone through that training. So of the 23, there should really only be 2 that are not firefighter 2 or been trained to the firefighter 2 level.
In future, do you see like a live-in type accessible to us?
Well, I just lost one of my bedrooms to our dispatch center for the security of the police department, but you're welcome. And that was not a decision we made easily, but obviously we were looking at the needs at the time. I would like that. I would improve that. I think that is something that when there is staff or a chief or part-time, the chief, that when that position grows and they're in the station a consistent amount of time, then you'll have some supervision over live-ins and so forth and such not. For a while, when we first built the station, which was only 8 years ago, and we put bedrooms in, everybody was wild and crazy about living there.
Right.
I actually have a student that's out of state in college. One of our 23 is an out-of-state college person who is firefighter 2. And he came back for like 2 months over Christmas vacation, and I offered him, I said, come stay.
Right.
And it's not the same
Okay.
world as it once was. But I think once we get full-time staffing, not full-time, but we have more consistent staffing in the station, that will be easy to
option.
explore. Yeah.
Is- What is contract?
What's again?
Close to the very bottom. Contracted services, sprinkler contract.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that it's on there now. We just signed this year's contract a month ago. So that is not, we've been paying, the contract went up like $1,000, but I'll have to get you the numbers, but the 1255 is not our annual contract. I think our annual contract was, I want to say it was like 2,500, and what did we just put through a bill as it just went up $1,000 to 3,500, and it was 2,500. So the 1266 is not correct.
And you also have under,
I'm sorry?
you have the water sewer sprinkler line item 2. Is that just the expense from the utility district?
Yes.
Okay.
What is on the sprinkler contract, what does that take into account? Is that obviously like an annual inspection? What
Yeah.
else? Is there? The
It's
inspection,
quarterly. They have to come every 3 months. Any sprinkler company comes every 3 months. And it also, and this, I'll refer this to Anthony. We went out and got prices from multiple companies to try to compete against that. And we lost that battle. We ended up back with the least expensive sprinkler company. it's not very clear looking at these budget lines, but I can get you that number. But we actually, it lapsed, and so we just re-signed the contract, and I just got, so this year's contract just went through like a month ago, and it was,
Yeah, so we were trying to negotiate with other companies, seeking if we could get a better deal, better terms, not just price, but better terms. No one was willing to sort of meet our demands, and so we went back to, so if we'd had like a full year's worth of inspections, that number that you see year to date would be higher.
Is that for every,
No, that's just for the firehouse.
Looks like we budgeted in 2025, $3,000, then we lowered it to 1,250. So it was, I guess the variance or some.
yeah, just to be clear, he showed me, we've been paying $750 a quarter. So that contract should come up at about $3,000.
No, this is separate and apart from that. Yes.
Like police station, do you know?
No. They don't. Ambulance has a sprinkler system. They have.
Chief Moretto,
Yeah, they do.
the ambulance station has a sprinkler system.
You can coordinate them to get a better deal.
Yes, would be one contractor to do the heat pumps and then a separate contractor to do the propane and the air conditioning. That one system is all, so the office meeting room area is primarily run on the HVAC. The garage bays is radiant floor heat. So we have a contractor that, plus they have it, they do something with the air conditioning so it doesn't, if the air conditioning system that's part of the propane HVAC never ran again, that system would just go out to beans. So it like runs, the air conditioning system will cycle or operate monthly. It's on a, we did the same thing. We had to do the same thing that police did. We had to have a company come. Our system really was never right from when the building was built, but we had a company come in and get the two systems to talk to each other. We literally, you could literally feel cold air coming out of the heat pumps, and the radiant basement heat was so hot you could burn your hands on. The two systems were literally just fighting each other. So they said you do not want to just mothball that system, because anytime you ever try to turn it on, it'll never work. So the system runs a little bit to keep the air conditioning system going, and there's still filters and stuff in there that they replace. And then we have the propane furnace that runs the radiant heat, because it's such a big area. The heat pumps come in as a backup, like when the door opens, it will come on. But the primary heat out there is the radiant.
It's a contract. Contract, is it contract that covers cleaning and repairs and, should anything fail? Or is that just an annual cleaning or?
It's both. It covers certain stuff if we have emergency repairs, and you get a better price on it. But it doesn't cover everything depending on what the repairs are, but it is annual maintenance on everything. Yeah.
Nothing online. Thank you, Dan.
No problem. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Dan, by the way, I thought that was a really good idea with the using the on-call to get people to be on coverage. I think that was a great idea to implement, so. No, but I think it just gives it entertaining. I mean, we do it in other places, other works, and I think it just kind of makes sure you have somebody around.
Makes you feel more comfortable.
Yes. No, I think it was a good program. I wanted,
But sometimes it's.
right. No, I just noticed that. I thought it was a good idea, so thank you. Right. To the ambulance service.
Chief of Winthrop Ambulance Service.
We are gonna bug you there.
I'm a wanderer. So.
You grab it
You
and
can grab it. It comes
You
off
kinda
the,
walk around.
it comes off the thing.
Nah, because then I start singing and nobody wants to. So, so our budget for 26, 1.710. Year to date, we're at 1.071, which is right around 63% of what we're currently through this fiscal year. We are projected to finish below budget. And so we do have some items that we have gone over on, but for the most part, currently we're on the budget on a lot. So we should come right in right around even or under at the end of this fiscal year. The proposed budget is right about 1.717 which is really pretty much a flat budget for us. It's with only a slight increase of a 0.4% increase from last year. Some of the things that's driving that change right now is the 15.5 or a 1.09% increase in payroll, and that's basically due to contractual obligations with the union contract that the employees have. Also, 12.4 thousand increase in medical supplies expenses. I have reached out to a bunch of suppliers, and they're all recommending close to around a 9.5% increase due to rising costs. And then who knows what's going to happen with the tariffs if they continue the way they are. Right now, that is one of the line items that were over from last year. I think we were 60,000 projected or budgeted for last year. And we're looking to be right around over 65, just under 66 for the end of the year with the current rate we're going. So the 9.5% of what we're projected would bring us right around that line item. I think is 72.4 was the increase there. Obviously, that will fluctuate. That's kind of a hard to nail right down because increased call volume will have increased expenses in medical supplies. A decreased call volume will have a reduction. So that line item right there can fluctuate throughout the year, and whether the cost of supplies go down or up. So 10,000 increase in repairs and maintenance for equipment and things. And a lot of that is due to we didn't have service contracts for our stretchers and monitors in the past. And we needed to have those, and we have those on board now, and we need to continue with those contracts. So that's why there's an increase in that line item. And if any of these have, along with these service contracts, like the stretchers and the monitors, the company will come in a few times a year. They'll run through them. They'll do any updates, especially the monitors that are required to be updated with any protocol changes, things like that. But the batteries themselves, if during this maintenance check, we have batteries that are no longer any good. They're not, when they run the tests on them, they're failing or close to failing. The batteries are replaced at no charge to us, and they make sure that all this equipment remains operable versus waiting for them to break and then trying to fix them. They're really expensive items, as you guys know, from just approving a new stretcher for our ambulance. So we want to make sure we take care of them. And then also we have, as part of our job, our run reports that we do for Maine EMS are computerized run reports. So we do have 4 units, 3 at the workstation for the providers when they come back to sit down and do their documentation and their run reports. And then the fourth one for the CQI officer who has his own office. He can sit down and review all the runs, make sure that everyone is providing quality care, that the treatment is following protocol and the standard of care. So, and those four that we currently have are outdated. They're Windows 10. They're no longer supported. They weren't the greatest quality to begin with. So we were looking at an increase to have those all replaced with more up-to-date units. And then of note, which you've have heard already tonight a couple of times, we have separate to try to get a better understanding of our overtime costs. Before holiday pay was added, it was combined with the overtime when the crews are working overtime. It really didn't get, it kind of inflated that overtime budget because holiday pay we have to pay. And we can pretty much determine what that's going to be with the amount of holidays that are in the contract and the town. So we were able to separate that out to get a better true understanding of our overtime. And then we also separated out to try to get a better understanding and more accurately budget our payroll expenses. We separated out the full-time and part-time because full-time base pay, we know what that's going to be for a full-time, how much they're going to make before they work any overtime or holidays or anything like that. So instead of just doing a flat increase all across the board, we were able to separate that out and get a truer budget on that end. Per diem is still fluctuates depending on who's working that day, what their rate of pay is and things like that. So, and that is about it. I was just asking Nick about that. It's like, I have a line item for that. So anything that, when it comes across my desk for me to bring over here, I've been putting that all on the building maintenance line item because I don't have a separate line item for, I didn't realize the others did, so.
What else have we done to build this building maintenance down there?
This year, the big items, we did a roof. We were leaking in the garage, right where the vent that sucks the exhaust out. We had a leak around that. So we had to replace that. That wasn't terribly, if I remember, it was right around 3,000, I think, or between 2 and 3 to replace that. They had to replace the flashing and the shingles around that. So that took care of that problem. And then the huge thing which came out of capital, the reserve and everything, was the insulation project. So.
It
Yes.
was, but it was separate because the people who actually did the installation would not do the demo, so we had to contract. Yes. Yeah, it was from the same pot of money, but it's 2 different contracts.
Yeah. And the company that did it brought their own dumpster, all that.
I just wanted
to that.
I just want to clarify that. The other question I had is.
Hey, Roy, we have someone online saying if you would please speak into your mic.
Okay, so the other question I had is we talked last year about a program that you put into place to help deal with overtime.
Yes.
How is that working out and what kind of figures can you associate?
Let me answer that. We scotched that program because it didn't yield the results that we wanted. So we've just scotched that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so yeah.
So that attributes to some of this $106,000 in overtime. No.
Talking about the budgeted?
Yeah, budgeted, we were 92 last year. That attributes to some of the 123,000 we are at year to date.
Yeah, so you will recall that we try to program over the summertime to try to get per diems to sign up for the open
Memorial to
shift.
Labor Day.
It didn't really make a dime's worth of difference as far as our overtime costs.
Okay.
Decreased 11,812. The program that they had. 30.
It was one of those things where, in theory, it was a great idea. In practice, not so much.
So I'm looking at if we expended 11,812.50 on that program, right? Isn't that the program?
I don't have my budget book.
It says
Yes.
weekend stipend.
Yes, every weekend stipend.
It is. Yep.
Plus, we're at 123,370 to date. Is that on top of, that's for overtime, right? We're at 123,370 for paramedic overtime,
Yes.
and we
Yes.
budgeted, so the two of those added together is what, 134, 135, and we budgeted 92,000. And then this year, we're only budgeting 106.
So if you, the paramedic and the EMT overtime, so you're missing, there is a line item also for the EMT overtime. So the EMT overtime, year to date is 53,826.
Okay,
On
so
top of
it
the
off,
123,370. So
yeah, but that's.
I know last year.
That's projected close to what we had budgeted because it's 53,000 at 2/3 of the way through the year. We should come out close to that 76,000 that we budgeted. So
Right.
that one would be close.
Well, are you factoring in the fact that we've broken out the holiday pay, which previously was an overtime charge?
Correct.
That's what I'm missing.
So the figures last year for 2025 actual, paramedic was 175,350 and EMT was 99,242. So we were close to 270 all together
So you didn't break
in
out,
overtime.
you didn't separate out the holiday pay from last year?
We did not.
No, we
Okay.
just,
That's, yeah.
it's going to
Oh,
be.
if we couldn't, okay. That-
In
And
the
the,
new
the
budget.
intent is.
When we're looking at it, we're actually, okay.
And I guess you could say this is part science, part art.
Yeah.
And so we're still trying to figure out the art part.
Yeah, so we show it next year, you're right, you will be able to see that, yeah,
Under-
that makes sense to me.
Plus, we also, we separated out the holiday, but if you recall, we did away with the deputy chief position, hired on a fourth shift, 2 more full-timers in hopes that that's going to cover a lot. So, so overall, the overtime budget is reduced, projected, or we're budgeting less on the overtime because we're hoping that, again,
I have less overtime.
right.
Yeah.
So,
I actually think Chief Moreto's done a really fabulous job with this budget. I mean, when you consider the complexity of the ambulance service budget and it's up 0.4%, I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And we're going to be generating even more revenue this year on 2 different fronts. One will fully implement the new funding formula that our partners pay as a subsidy. And they're also going to be contributing to an annualized cost of our capital program for the ambulance service as well.
I agree with you. However, if we could have it at negative 0.4%, if we overlook something, I still want to look at it line item by line item.
I understand, but when you consider that medical supplies, for instance, are going up 9.5% and payroll costs are just going to naturally increase as part of the collective bargaining agreement, it's a pretty remarkable budgeting job by the chief.
So I just had 2 items that I just wanted to touch base on. The first, vehicle fuel, 7-720 for Medic 3's diesel is down 33.33 3%. Are we thinking that's going to be an actual reflection of what we're going to have to need, seeing that diesel fuel has gone up quite a bit?
Chief, was the old medic one, was it a gasoline or diesel vehicle?
It was gasoline.
Okay.
It might be something that,
Well, and I think,
depending on how you guys,
the very first thing that we talked about, is I think it probably makes sense to have a pot of money for contingency for rising fuel costs.
that might be included in that. Yeah, okay. And then repairs, maintenance. 8720. We had 6,000 budgeted. Year to date's been $1,261.90 spent, but last year was 6,000. Can you just touch base on that? Maybe, actually, you might not be able to, but
I think,
idea?
I think it's because Medic 3's been out of service
We
for
haven't you, I
a
mean,
while as we're replacing the stretcher in that.
it's
Okay,
been, I've probably over 50 days now. The crews have been keeping, the supervisors have been keeping track of the number of days that an ambulance is out of service. And for the last 50 some odd days in a row now, Medic 3's been out of service while we waited for the new stretcher to be approved. And I actually got the call today, it's ready. So myself and one of the other employees are running to Bangor tomorrow to get it. And then once that gets back, it's gonna go up front. It's gonna be one of the front lines because we're hoping to get rid of that truck soon. And so we want to run that one a lot, but
okay.
so there will be an increase, but a lot of the reason why the fuel's down on that, it's been out of service. It's been backlined or out of service, so.
So again, I think the chief has done a good job of making sure we don't overtax the new ambulance that we just purchased, and being mindful of the fact that your preference is that we run the older ones as long and as far and as hard as we can before we upgrade.
Duct tape and bubble gum.
Well, I don't know. If my wife's in the back of that, I'd rather it not be
An
a
emergency vehicle, but I would like to get the use out of them.
Good. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Open it up to Public Works. See.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Evening.
Stuff over here. So the first thing I noticed was a typo at the top. It should say 26, the old budget.
What?
We're in 27 now.
Oh.
Should say 26 budget was 859, 797. Got it. Late. So right now I'm at 58.58 through 66.67% of the year. If you recall, and I'll start off with this, if you recall last year, the public works budget went up quite a bit. And at the time, the question was, to me, was posed, and I think it was Linda that posed it, was, is this going to happen every year? And I said, no, this is pulling off the Band-Aid and fixing this. That's what we've done. So the new budget goes up 0.31%. And it's 862,487. The drivers behind that are wage increases and half of the 2 labor positions that are budgeted in the cemeteries, right? So we change, half of that budget goes to the cemeteries and half of that budget goes to Public Works, because they're being used 6 months a year in each department. With, I mean, I say 6 months a year, it could be a little more, a little less, depending on the time of the year. Vehicle repairs and maintenance, and then budgeting for one CDL training of a Class A driver. All of my plow truck drivers have a Class B, with the exception of two. The mechanic has a Class A, and we have one person that just started with us that has a Class A. We're looking to create more Class As for the purpose of using them at the transfer station. And I'll give you an example. Last week, the guy that normally hauls for the transfer station, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but recently, he was on vacation. I mean, the guy takes vacations. So either I send in the mechanic or I send somebody that we train with a Class A. So it's a cost, and my thought in this is something that you alluded to earlier, Roy, that if we're going to train them, we're going to get time out of them. So I'm putting together a program where they would sign on if they take this step for 3 years. I do too. I agree with you.
And then if they were to leave during that time period, they'd have to pay a prorated portion of that back.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's fair. And honestly, talking with my staff, they agree. They do. You have a crew in this department now that is committed to this town. They do a good job.
Now, I have one question on this. I'll get you at the end.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
The CDL training that you're doing, is this a $5,000 training? Is that just going from B to A?
Just going from B to A, yes. Yes. Yeah, it's not cheap anymore. And
I just don't
I
realize
got
that-
this cost from partners that we have with the Greater Augusta Water District. A guy there gave me this guy's number. The guy's in Reedfield. I've contacted him. He said he doesn't do anything over the winter because it's too hard, because when it snows, they cancel the class and everybody gets behind. So when he starts this back up again, we're going back in. Granted that the money is approved for it. As of March 14th, we've had, well, and again, we've had 2 storms since, so we've had 30 full-time, full crew snow events. And what I mean by that is, if we have to call everybody in, that's an event. If we have to send just a couple of people in to check roads and hit this road or that road, that's a nuisance, but we handle it differently. And that's why our line item is down for overtime this year. Most of the maintenance has been brought in-house, and we're performing more and more all the time. We're trying to get it all in-house. There are stuff that we can't do. As some of you guys know, there's stuff that's going to have to be sent to the dealer because it has to be flashed, or it has to be, handled through a dealer. But we're trying to bring as much in-house as we can. Questions?
Some road maintenance,
Mhm.
33-200, the guardrails at $8,000, the Ruby Ridge repairs.
Yep.
Are those all lead or metal?
All metal. Yeah.
All metal?
Yeah, and that's replacing what we took out last year to do that culvert on Ruby Ridge. I got a quote from the company to do that, and it was $8,000. That's what they,
Any thoughts on if versus wood, or does it have to
that
be?
was, I had gotten a quote for metal to put
Gotcha.
in like kind.
Yep.
But again, when I go out to do it, I'll look at different options. And we have some used guardrail at the shop over in Anabascook, but I didn't add that into it because I thought if the cost goes up and I have to
Right. Yep.
whittle into that, I will. If not, we'll use that as replacements here or there that get damaged.
Percent.
You'll put it up here. Would you say 33 what?
33-075. Page 47 on the, if you have that one.
Nick's got it.
Yeah, so we had a conversation a few weeks ago about doing sidewalk repairs. We have some money left over from this year to do some sidewalk repair, and that just continues it.
It's more sometimes, I guess, reflective of time.
Correct.
Did we do any sidewalk repairs last year?
We did very little, just what was absolutely needed.
And you think that's something that you might be able to work on some of the areas that are
Mhm.
real bad this year?
There's two that pop into the top of my head right off the bat that I want to attack first thing this year.
'Cause there's a lot of them that are walkable. There's some that are not.
Yeah, but we need them to be more than that. We
Yeah.
need them to be correct.
But until we're ready to invest in
Right.
a good chunk of them, it would be nice to address the worst spots is how I see it.
Got some good turf on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my fiance will thank you for doing the sidewalk. She's like, what are you doing up here on council?
Right.
She reminds me every day. I'm not kidding. My question was, the $8,500 line item for office supplies. I just was curious of what was driving that.
That is more, the $800 is like, printer ink.
Okay. yeah.
It's, printing out training stuff,
Okay.
things
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
That just hasn't been done in the past.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then this is more of a comment than a question, but I think doing the training for the CDL is great. I signed up for my job. I'm still up 8 years later, and how I started really was I signed an agreement to work for 2 years. So
Yeah.
I think it's good, and hopefully it pays off. So
I've seen it work in other places, so, don't reinvent the wheel, man.
exactly,
Right,
right.
exactly. I got a quick question, but it's really probably mostly for Anthony, and it's mostly around when we're talking about sidewalks, since we're kind of pounding it a little bit. When we talk about that grant that comes every year, and I know the money's always forwarded, it wouldn't happen until what, January? If we got that with the,
That's
With
correct. Yeah,
Grania.
you apply in July and you
Right.
learn in January whether or not you get it.
right, but is that something, because I remember there was a line or category for sidewalks, wasn't there? You guys remember
For that grant program?
That
Yeah.
grant? Yeah, okay, cool. Because we could set some aside
Yeah.
money to,
And just be aware that grant program is sort of a three-step program. And the first step is you get the money, and then it's like all engineering work.
Sure.
and easement acquisition that happens first. And then you go back to the well and get the money for the construction. So it's not something, even if we got the grant, say in this year,
yeah.
we're not going to see sidewalk improvements immediately.
No, and I remember they're talking about it, but I think it's something, I know you're cognizant of it. We're going to do it every year because the money's there. What they told us is the money's there every year. So
We'll keep applying until they give it to us.
until they say no,
Oh, no, they're good. That comes easy.
right? Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
Question, looking at I'm looking. Line 37037. That is a vehicle fuel gasoline vehicles.
Mhm.
I think what I'm seeing is last year's budget was 41,000. We've only used $1,000 of that,
No, I think that comes out of a separate line.
but we budgeted 43,000 for it this year.
All those were added into one.
Yeah, we've consolidated all those. Instead of
All
breaking
those
it out by vehicle, we just decided, what's the point of that? And so we just
Right.
consolidated it into one
So
line
that
item.
increase is just what I put in there for market increase. And I will tell you that after a meeting that we had a month or two ago, I went in and filled up our fuel tank
Yeah.
before it went up.
And interestingly, so we gotten the price from that through a purchasing cooperative, Main Power Options. And they were just about to do the bidding for this year when the war in Iran broke out. And so they've delayed it, and they don't know when they're going to do it because they're trying to hold off, hoping that we can get a better price. So everything's sort of up in the air.
More question. I noticed a lot of in the summer road maintenance, all of the materials It looks like we've gone down on a lot of the materials. Is that because we stocked up last
Yeah,
year and we
so-
have material left?
Yep, so I was able to bulk purchase a lot of stuff last year. And that's why that budget was so big, right? Because I thought, I don't know how much I'm gonna use. This is a new department with new people. So we did, we bulked up thinking this is what I think we should go through. And we're still holding on to culverts that we're gonna use this year, you know what I mean? So I lowered that cost to make it more reflective.
How about, tree removal?
Tree
I noticed-
removal, we were way up over.
What's that?
We went way up over for tree removal, but we had to get rid of
But
it.
is that something that's gonna happen again this year?
I don't think so, because I had Shed take down a lot of the stuff that was dead and dying on the side of the road, a lot of the big stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw one,
one right by my shop.
yeah, you know, the stuff like that had to go. And now with us getting that mulcher, we should be able to do quite a bit of the smaller stuff ourselves. Am I still gonna have to do tree removal in different places? Yeah, but again, we're doing things now in-house that they never did before. So I'm having guys chainsaw certified. We have to do that, right? So now we have people in-house that are chainsaw certified. We're gonna cut it down ourselves and chip it.
Oh, the mulcher, I know we spoke a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's in
Um,
play. Yeah, I've gotten some quotes. I'm waiting on a couple
Better
more.
quotes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you add in a line for, I mean, is that going to be a cost for maintenance in the future?
What's that for the
The mulcher?
for the mulcher?
Like
No,
teeth?
yeah, for teeth and stuff, I'll put that in, but I didn't think it was absorbent.
Okay.
The teeth on it, they come in like 6 packs and I think they were like $600 or something like that. So,
If Bad Boy Mowers would start carrying those, there might be like a hometown discount or something. Am I right, Jim?
Absolutely.
It's in the works.
I'm not waiting.
Any other questions for Public Works? Anything online, Anthony? Nothing? So we're good? All right, great. Thank you, Kevin. But I think you're staying up here.
Yeah, he's not done yet.
Yeah, you got some more. Night, Chief.
So. Do have one question. What was it? Last year, was it last year we had, put in for replacement of the loader and the skid steer? How are those two vehicles holding up?
The skid steer, we're gonna need a bucket on it. I put that in the budget. And the loader, Gary, the mechanic and I have talked. We think we can go a little more on that. Listen,
We
I'm
did
like you.
brakes- You did brakes on it last year, right?
We did,
That was one of the big things, I think.
Good tires too, I think.
Brakes and
we
pins.
had a tire issue, but
Tires.
we had a tire issue with the backhoe at the transfer station. That's
Yeah.
when we put the front ones on.
Right.
And that stopped all that
Good.
nonsense.
Good.
So yeah, we're looking at all of it. And again, I'm of the same mindset of you run it until it starts costing you a lot of money.
Right, thank you.
All right, now we're gonna jump to transfer station.
Yep. Okay, so in 26, it was 257. We are 62% through the budget, through the money at 66.67 of the year. So again, we're under budget right now. There are some costs coming up, but I think we're holding the line and we'll do okay. The proposed budget is 652,852, which is an increase of 8.76. And the majority of that has to do with tipping fees. There is some wage increase, building maintenance. There are 2 pumps that need to be replaced under the building. There's some garage door work that needs to be done. There's some vehicle maintenance and repair. But again, the majority of it is the tipping fees, I think.
And I think we talked about that at a prior meeting, just how much that's increasing.
Yeah.
Before you move on to that, is the old transfer station building included in this one?
No, it's a separate.
That's separate. Okay.
Any questions, guys?
I'm sorry, The old transfer station, so is that the Annabeth
Annabeth,
building?
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Where-
Lost me there for a second.
So Kevin, speaking of that, and I know we've done some repairs, and that's probably for the capital budget, but how are we doing with the scales? You know, as far as, I know a couple of years back, and it's probably prior to you, we had quite a bit of issues with the scales and the maintenance, and it was down, and I can't remember, yeah. Did we get it all squared around?
Yeah, the biggest issue right now with the scale is the computer system that we use in the house, right, is an analog system. You
Right,
can't, I'm running the same thing Paul's running. You can't get parts for it anymore.
right,
Right, so we're keeping it cobbled together.
yeah,
And when it gets to the point where we can't, we know the company that we've dealt with in the past has an option for that.
oh, good.
I just don't want to pull the trigger.
No, I get it, and I appreciate you planning forward. What is something, just, again, might be for a different conversation, but, because I know that's something that has to be done. I mean, I know this is part of this, the transfer station is pretty important to the town, and people, you know, it's the service.
Yep.
What is
That's a
the,
core service.
yeah, what is the downtime of having something like that repaired? Do you know, just off the top of your head?
I don't, I know the company is out of Massachusetts now, and I remember somebody telling me that they thought the company was selling, so I have to look into all that.
Yeah,
But it hasn't been an issue in the past,
okay,
right? Within a week, we're up and running.
okay, good.
And we're only open 4 days a week, so.
Right.
You know, if it happens in the middle of the week, maybe we got it back by the weekend, right?
Right, yes, yeah, okay. Yeah, again, that's kind of a,
Yeah.
but I know the maintenance down there is, you see the garage doors. I mean, I go through there
Yeah.
on the weekends and see that they've been pretty racked up, and, you know, we want them to open and close properly. We want it to look, it's a transfer station, but we still want it to look nice.
Well, and
So-
again, I appreciate the guys down there that are actually cleaning up the place and
Sure.
making it look better. You know, they're not leaving stuff lying around anymore. They're
Yeah.
putting it away every night and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Road tractor repairs, what's the driver of that 200% increase?
Oh, let me look.
It jumps from 5,000 to 15,000.
Bear with me a minute. Terry's. Yeah, that has to do with things like tires, maintenance schedules, hydraulic changes. It has to do with brakes, things that we're gonna have to do as it comes that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just was looking at triple the
Yeah, it's a
budget,
lot.
triple the budget from the previous
it's a
years,
lot.
even this year.
Yep. It's a lot. And again, we've been pretty fortunate to keep it where it is right now.
Yeah, I don't, do you know what the driver it was in 2025 for that $27,000 expense on that?
I don't. I'll try
I
to
just-
look back.
I'm
and
just
see.
curious.
That's a great question. I wish I knew.
It's in the rearview mirror at this point. and I'm
Yeah,
just curious
yeah.
what it is.
And I'll see if I can fish around, get some information for it. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kevin, when you're ready, so.
Go ahead.
It's more of a quick question here. So I'm noticing here that, you know, those, the tipping fees are up significant. So, I just want to make sure we're taking all the data since we've increased the last rates for that, right? We're taking all that in because I'm just noticing like it's a pretty big trend. 2025, we spent 170 and now we're at 220. So that's like a $50,000 increase in, you know, just a couple of years. So more of a note, like we're just, I'd like to see the data on that to make sure we're staying whole on that? Because I could see that going up and up.
Are you talking about the
Yeah,
demo or the
yeah, solid
MWAC?
waste, the solid waste, 65, 100 to 110, 200. So
Yeah, so do distinguish there, as you see up here, there are two different tipping fees, one for the demo waste, and that's where we do some cost recovery. You guys set the new rates just very
Just
recently.
recently, yep.
And then the household waste is just the stuff that you throw into the hopper, and there's no charge for that.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So okay. So the first one's the household, the second one's the demo.
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's kind of crazy to see. So.
On that same note, we have $200,000 budgeted last year. We're only at 90,000.
I'm sure we probably haven't gotten all the,
Yeah, we probably have,
Invoices, yeah.
they don't bill
Okay.
us. Yeah. Yeah. They could be like 3 months behind. Yeah.
I had nothing else.
Anything else? I got a couple little things,
Yep.
Kevin, just, me and Aaron were just talking here, so I won't take full credit on it, but on your utilities, it's 30-100, the electricity. We seem like the actual budget, we're kind of pushing it over there. I mean, I know you didn't increase it at all, but do you think you should increase it all? Number one, it's, we spent $11,260.19 and we've only budgeted 10,000.
Well, and that's electricity. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping with the new lighting
Okay,
that we're actually going to save over that.
perfect. No, and again, I'm not trying to really,
Nope, nope.
not trying to beat you up. I
All
just want to
good
make
questions. And again, people online will hear it, right?
Yeah, and then I want the other piece of it was our heating fuel. I know, and I know we put heat pumps down there, and that probably that's why I see the increase go up in electricity maybe, but, are we using the heat pumps?
so the heat pump's only in the office
Okay.
there.
That's it.
Perfect. Yep, answers the
The
question.
two
So,
offices are all we have.
Fabulous, thank you.
Yeah, what are the timeline? When did we put in the LED conversion? Because
That just happened this year.
this year.
Yeah.
It was late in the fall.
Yeah, it was late fall.
Okay, so nothing that we're looking at here is reflective then so far, right? We don't know, okay.
Right.
Sure.
Partially.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
only been part of the,
Small amount. Like
because I think we
maybe-
were December probably, we really
Yeah.
kind of, I think, remember having them,
late December.
yeah, we had it really flipped, so we've only about 4 months.
I do think probably the increase in costs are probably, yes, I think so.
So Kevin, if you flip to the next slide, I think the next one. Yeah, so there you go. So this is an important slide right here. So again, you guys approved the new fee structure, and so that's going to increase revenue by $85,000. The proposed increase in expenditures is $50,000, and so you're realizing a $30,000 net gain.
There's wiggle room as long as we don't spend it somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we're not a bank.
No, thank you. I think that's, okay, go ahead, Andy.
At the town garage. I would like to do that, but I think that's going to come into discussion during the CIP.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
We all set?
We are, sir. Yeah, I guess it's just a quick thought or two is do we pay for, I think we might have asked this question last year. Do we have somebody come in and chip all our brush?
Couple
do.
times a year.
Yeah. Does that seem to be cost effective? Or do you think maybe getting a chipper would be, I mean, I feel like we chipped it our own, didn't we?
That's an industrial
Yeah.
size.
No,
chipper.
well, I know what it is. I just thought we had one time, didn't we?
It's a tub grinder
Right.
that
Yeah.
you need. It's more than just a chipper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a chipper with all the stuff that they're cutting down and
Give me a bill.
with all the different
Okay.
spikes and all that stuff.
I'm just
in it.
curious. I thought we did it at one time, did our own, but maybe not. No? No. I understand that, but I just thought we still thought we did it on our own, but
No, I mean, listen, I'm always looking for ways to save money, guys.
sure.
Right.
Invite us down for a big bonfire. I'll bring the marshmallow.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
That's a new.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Kevin. All right, so you're on the hot seat again. We're gonna hit cemeteries now with Kevin.
Yeah, so this is one that may look a little eye-popping to you, but do keep in mind, I mean, it's a relatively small budget.
50. Page 50 if you guys are looking.
Okay, so here's where I take my beatings. This budget, we're at 132.98. Okay. And it goes to 93,170. That's an increase to 174%. That's a lot. But keep in mind that drivers of that are the two full-time labor positions that are being funded half the year in cemeteries. Well, last year we put them into public works completely.
If we look at that, then Public Works.
Went down.
Well,
Yeah, so Public Works was flat, and this one's going up appreciably. So yeah, so there's a net
So the
gain.
Public Works, essentially, if it was compared to apples last year, would have had a fairly good increase.
No,
Nope.
no, not in the whole,
Not on
because the Public Works budget is a much larger
I get
budget.
Percentage, yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but
So when you take,
It would have been more than 0.4, a point.
Right.
it would have been more than
whatever it was.
0.4, but it wouldn't have been in a, what I would consider an appreciable difference.
You would just take the
0.31.
65, I mean, you can just do the math. I mean,
I think we're just probably getting it in the right bucket right now.
Yep.
Kind of get realigning
That's what
ourselves.
we're doing. We're realigning it.
And Jim, you may be able to speak to this, but I think this was also sort of a request or a suggestion from the cemetery committee to break that up so that we get a sort of a truer cost of what the cemeteries.
Correct.
Didn't we just go the other way a year ago, 2 years ago?
We did.
Okay. I
Your
just
memory
curious.
We reserve the right to change our mind.
I didn't see that disclaimer.
So the other increase is the seasonal labor position that is likely to also be the sexton if he comes back.
Yeah. So keep in mind, previously the sexton was a full-time employee. He's no longer a full-time employee. We're hoping that he's going to come back and work as a seasonal employee and then earn a sexton stipend on top of that. Because he does an excellent job in
Yes.
caretaking the cemeteries.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have any questions? Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Anybody? I just don't want to cut anybody off. Like why he's thinking there, but we're talking, and I know the cemetery committee, we're talking, they got the, an RFP out to get the roads
We're just gonna have.
Yep.
fixed
those-
at
so we had six-
Glenside. So, and we,
Yep.
just so you guys, because I think me and Kevin are in the know and Anthony, but the bids are in. So we're gonna, I think, look at that, and I think that's gonna come to the cemetery committee, and I don't know if it'll come around to us, but it's coming out of their budget. But I think the roads are gonna get fixed at Glenside, which is
Did they
really,
align with
Yeah.
their budget?
excuse me?
Did they align with their
They were
budget?
higher than what they had thought.
No, that we
but-
thought, but we had a lot of proposals. I think there was like
Yep.
4 or 5, 6, it was 6, yeah, there's 6 proposals. So it was, I like the activity and it was competitive bidding. So I mean, I think we're in good shape.
And to your point, Jim, yeah, that will definitely come back to you
Yep.
guys for your
Yeah.
final approval because the cemetery committee is just advisory in nature.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So you guys will see that coming up soon, but I think we all can agree some of the lack of maintenance in some of the cemeteries, we're really trying to get caught back up it. And since I've been part of that, going to some of their meetings, not every one of them, but going to some of the meetings and listening to it and visiting the cemeteries myself, they're due.
That and they have an account set.
They have an account set up for it, which, I know we don't want to blow it all away, but it is, that's what the money's there for. So
Yep.
to actually maintain some of that stuff, so.
Yes, we're not a bank.
So I'm seeing no other
for me.
questions.
yeah, good. I'm good.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you coming in. Next time, have Anthony put you first. Thank you.
We put the fellows with the guns first. Okay, so I'm proud of you guys. We've covered a lot of ground and it's been 2 hours, but it doesn't actually feel like it's been 2 hours, so. Oh, it has to you?
We'll saddle up.
No.
All right.
Gonna get ugly.
So this is our administrative services budget. So of the budgets that we've covered tonight, these are the 5 largest budgets that we have: police, fire, ambulance, public works, administrative services. So the administrative services budget this year is $2.2 million. Through 2/3 of the fiscal year, we spent 61% of that. So again, I think both
Yes.
good budgeting and good budget management being displayed throughout all of our departments.
Yeah.
So we're proposing to increase the budget by 0.12%. Go ahead and do your cartwheels. So what's driving that? So we do have a $70,000 reduction in our workers' comp premium because we have reduced claims. So what happens, it's a sort of 3-year rolling experience. And so if we have a particularly bad year 3 years ago when it rolls off, we save some money. And I'm going to talk in a little bit just about how we're saving even more money on top of that. Now, we have increased the FICA and Medicare because of wage increases. So anytime you increase wages, that increases as well. We're also spending $13,000 more in email services. We have more accounts than what we've ever had before. And we did subscribe to a new archiving system that makes it much more efficient for us whenever we have to respond to an open records request. So those account for some of the changes. Further of note, and I emailed you guys about this a week or 2 ago, but we're working to qualify for the MMA's Workers' Comp Safety Incentive Program. We actually have 2 facilities that have already qualified for the top tier, the 10% premium reduction. That's here at the town office and at the library. And on Wednesday, we're going to have the police station and ambulance station. Is that correct, Nick? That are going to be inspected on Wednesday? Police and the ambulance station. So we feel good about the possibility that those are also going to qualify for the 10% premium reduction. And a lot of the credit for that goes both to our finance director, Nick Poole, because I put him in charge of overseeing that effort, and then to each department director, like the library was on top of it as far as getting a whole lot of things done to address some safety issues there. We do have 2 additional employees taking the cash in lieu of health insurance. So Nick, does that bring us up to 12 now? Yeah, 12 employees. So we had 10 this year, 2 more doing that. So one of the things I wanted to talk with you about and get your thoughts about was increasing that $5,000 because it hasn't increased at all, hasn't sort of kept pace with the cost of insurance. If you were to ask me, if you were to say, Wilson, we'd like you to make the decision on how we do that, I would just say, make it 50% of the cost of the health insurance for the employee. We're not talking about spouses or dependents, just for the employee. So what would that cost look like? Be expensive. It'd be $7,600 per employee because right now we're spending about $15,000 per employee on health insurance. If you think that's too rich, then what I would say is maybe on an annual basis, we increase this cash in lieu of health insurance payment by the same amount that the premium increases. So right now we are expecting a 10% increase in the premium. So the $5,000 payment would go to $5,500. So I'm interested in your thoughts.
So, but it's 7,600, but so each additional employee that elects to take that payout, we're then saving 6,000 and change.
You're saving another 7,600.
Yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't do that.
That is as long as we're not compensating on the other end by paying them more because they're not taking health insurance.
Oh, you're saying like lost time or FMLA?
No, he's just saying,
Increased wages because they're not taking health insurance.
Well, I mean, it's a payout. I mean, they would get more money.
no, he's just thinking about the hourly rate. As a base rate.
Stating it,
But-
but on the other end,
But the reason,
Double.
but
Yeah, I
the
see.
reason that we would do this is to incentivize people not to take our insurance if they
Because we
have
would save
options.
$6,000.
If you start not providing them pay increases, then that's going to de-incentivize them from doing.
I have no problem doing that.
but my point is, when you are looking to, make some sort of agreement for hiring agreements, as long as we're not compensating more hourly wage because they don't plan on,
No.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, I was confused. So I see what you're saying.
because that
No,
cuts out what we're saving.
correct. So simply
yeah.
because someone wasn't taking the insurance, that doesn't mean, oh, okay, well, we'll pay you. No, this is how we would pay you, is we would pay you with,
It's not an increase in an hourly rate. Yeah, no, I think it's good to
That's
point it
how
out.
I'd expect it.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Roy, I misunderstood you.
Yeah, it's just a waiver. They opt out, they can get.
Yes,
Yeah.
now at the same time, let me just also make clear, they have to provide us proof that they are insured elsewhere in order to qualify for the payment. And I think that's critical. We want people insured.
Insured elsewhere or doing something like, what if they take the money and they're putting it in an account separate and using it for expenses?
No, they have to show us that they have
think
health
you-
insurance.
You need to
from
have the
some-
waiver showing you
Yeah,
you have
from
health
some other
insurance.
provider. I mean, typically that comes from a spouse.
Hmm.
You know, they're typically on their spouse's insurance, but we want people covered so that if they get sick or injured or whatever, they have insurance to.
We're seeing all
help
of these other
I-
practices pop up that are taking cash and not taking it.
I think, yeah, I think it's 10% fair. It's the increase of what it costs, the increase for our premiums to add it to their. So you're talking 5,500
Yeah.
as it follows suit.
And the reason, Jim, I mean, again, my preference would be just do half because I think it's just cleaner. Like every year, the cost is going to go up. Every year, we're still at the sort of that same benchmark as opposed to, you know, at some point, we don't increase it because,
So can I ask you a quick question?
sure,
Because I know we pay 90%.
we do.
Is that 76 at the 90?
That's correct. Yes.
So that's what? That's
That's our cost.
our cost. I didn't just know if it was as a whole and then,
No, it's of the 90%.
thank you. What's anybody else's thoughts?
I'm in favor of it. I think that's good. I think it's a good practice, truthfully. And if, to Aaron's point, I guess, you know, if things do change down the line and it's not state regulated, that we have to have that waiver, that they have to be covered. I don't know, like liability wise, if we would have that, but.
Is there any liability to us if they do or do not have health insurance?
Well,
Okay,
I
okay.
think now, if you are an employer, you're required to provide health insurance. So
Yeah, because I think I get a form every year that I got to pay to or submit to my taxes that I had health insurance. I don't know what form number that is. It just comes through and say this is for, but do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's important that they show that they are covered,
yeah,
I think.
And I got one with the waiver too.
Yeah.
This different tax form with the waiver.
Correct.
so that's a legal question, Roy, that I'm not sure, but to Jim's point, we want people covered in case they get sick. We want them to get well and
Yeah.
come back to work.
Yeah. And I guess I forgot we did that. So I think that's a great perk. I mean, it's another perk that we can, benefit to be an employee here. And be competitive. So I think
Yeah.
that's another piece of it that we need to.
Well,
evaluate.
and it does, again, saves us money whenever people decide, you know what, if I can get a $7,600 payment, yeah, I'll go on my spouse's insurance.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. So, yeah.
What's anybody else's thought, Roy?
Well, Zach, I could tell you one thing from having been self-employed. Obamacare is not cheaper.
Okay.
No, I say we do it this year, but it can be evaluated every year. Should evaluate it. It's not a
Yeah.
blanket 10% every year.
Yeah, we should have annual revision.
Correct.
But yeah.
Okay, I'm confused here because I laid out two options for you and I'm hearing different things from
Okay,
different
so
people.
I'm going to lay out what my mind's thinking. So this year, I'd say we up it to 10%, the cost of the increase. So
Mhm.
then we look at it next year, because if it goes up, our increase goes up 20%. I don't know if the whole council as a whole would want to go up 20% on that. But for this year, we follow suit of what our increase is. We give them the 10% increase on the 5,000, so make it 5,500, and then we can evaluate it for each year.
I agree with Jim.
So you don't want to do the 7,000.
No. I say we do the cost of the increase.
Moving in that direction.
Correct. It's you moving that needle, you're pushing it up 10% because that's what's costing the increase up for us on our benefits, what we have to pay. So they're going to get the benefit of it of 10% more.
Thing to lose.
But then it's a cost savings. So what's,
So
7,600.
600. Then it's no cost savings.
take it. Each time we save another $6,000.
That's assuming that that's the deciding factor.
What do you-
Because it may be that they're going to take it anyway, regardless of,
Oh, right. I mean, yeah.
you know what I
You have to
mean?
Evaluate if it's an incentive. Yeah, right. Okay, that's true.
Well,
Thoughts, Anthony?
but yeah, so I think, Roy, economically, so if my wife works for Maine General and I work for the town, what I'm going to do is make an economic decision as to what's going to benefit us economically while still providing a good health.
Town has better insurance.
Yeah. And so,
Can I get on yours?
and so it's not going to cost her an additional $7,600 to insure me. And so I would probably want to get on her insurance and collect the $7,600 from the town. Does that make sense?
I understand that, but my point is the difference between what is it, 55 now?
Yes. Oh, it's 5,000 now.
Okay, so if it's 5,000 now, the difference between you're assuming that the difference between the 55 and the 7,600 is going to be a deciding factor. I mean, it may be that, and I don't know the situation, but it may be that the 5,500 is just fine for you. And at that point, the town's not paying the extra $2,000 per person.
Yeah, and I guess, so if I can just be devil's advocate here for a second, I guess what I would say is, we've been at $5,000 for a long time. We want to make progress. If we increase it by 10%, we're not really gaining any ground because it's just, the 5,500 is just reflective of
Yeah.
the
But we're
increase. this
moving in that
particular year.
direction.
Yeah, I think
That is true.
I think it's us being cognizant that we see it and we're bumping it up. It's costing us more. And we're going to give them the benefit of it, of the 10%. So that's kind of how I see it. So I don't know where we're all.
Okay, so now we're negotiating, it sounds like. So let me say, so if you think you want to like move in the direction of, let's say, half, then maybe instead of 5,500, maybe we do 6,000, and that way we are actually gaining ground towards achieving that, as opposed to just sort of like keeping
Yeah, but
pace with the rate of inflation.
I think my point, Anthony, and I understand you're up there on the stump trying to pitch for these guys, but I think it's still a benefit that not every company allows or does this. Because I mean, to your point, and I'll go back to your reference with your wife, at Maine General, if I decline the insurance, they're not paying me any extra hourly and or a stipend for not having the insurance. So this is another benefit that we are giving town employees. So I'm willing to go up to that next level of the 10% because that's what's costing us. So I think it's a nice benefit. So I think I'm not removing it, but I am cognizant of it's moving the needle a little bit in that direction. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing.
Okay, all right,
I agree.
all right. So Nick, let's make a note to recalculate that figure at 5,500. Okay. So, also just of note, our liability insurance deductible has increased to $5,000 because of the water pipe burst that we had both at the police station and the ambulance station this year. Fortunately, vehicle premiums remain at $1,000. So we're just going to hope we don't have anything catastrophic happen to any of our facilities this coming year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Any questions? Go ahead, Zach.
So the email service, the driver is the more accounts, that the extra money there.
Yes. Well, not only that, but in the past, when we've gotten an FOAA request, Zach, it's been a real rigmarole to go through those accounts and recapture emails. And so Google Mail has this service called The Vault. And so it makes it much easier to recapture those, particularly for accounts that no longer exist. So say an employee leaves the organization, all of that employee's emails are still captured in the vault so that we can then go into the vault and recover those emails.
And in Anthony's defense, if I can just kind of step in, all those costs for any of those subscriptions or anything like that have increased for
Oh, yeah.
on an IT basis. So I can see it. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's jumping on the bandwagon versus.
No, it's just a big number.
Yeah, it is.
I was not expecting that. And then the only other thing I wanted to just kind of say, when you have the number that we just talked about, that's going to come back around to us, right? Because I was trying to do the math out here. My brain's
the
not
number
working
for
this whole insurance thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I just want to see it. I can't math anymore today. So
well, it's going to be $500 times 12, so $6,000 more dollars for that line item.
Yeah.
okay. That makes it.
Each employee that's currently taking it today, which is 12, it could go up more, but still it's a cost savings because we're not going to pay the insurance of the 76, whatever that is.
Yeah, I was getting close in my head, but I'm
No.
as long as I can see it again, that's fine.
So I like to say, Zach, there are three types of Aggies, graduates of Texas A&M University, those who can do math and those who can't.
Everything else good?
Good. Otherwise.
I do have one question. Printing and copier, did you touch on that?
The copier,
Yeah, going from 6,000 to 11.
Nick, you've dealt with that. You want to speak to that?
This is year to date.
Oh, yeah, that's my,
Oh, okay.
oh, it's not. It's 6,800 year to date. It's 6,026 budget.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Well.
I can probably pull it up. I think that is just the rate they're charging us for our leased copier. If you look at the last year's actuals, we're above 9,000. And it depends if you get ink and stuff like that, like if all that type of stuff. Any maintenance, because that's just the lease itself, the lease of copiers.
So it's gone up significantly.
I would say so, yes. I don't know when we got those leases. I would say,
Yeah, that copier is not that old, but we have had it replaced since I've been here. I know that. And, but the lease is much cheaper than actually purchasing a copier because they don't have that long of a lifespan. And then you've got to replace that and it's much more than $11,000.
We lease it now. That like 5 years ago we changed over because it.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to add it to this budget. This budget could change too. In April, I'll get more information on insurances. If there's anything major changes, I'll have to apply those. And in cost in lieu, if someone quits or gets relieved of duty who has cost of lieu, and then whoever we hire doesn't, I'll have to make that adjustment as well in this budget. So just FYI, this budget can change depending on circumstances.
Yeah. So the insurance numbers that you see in there for the premiums, that's based upon a recommendation from the Maine Municipal Association, which is our insurer. But as Nick said, we won't know sort of what the final costs are until next month. Yeah, but we're anticipating 10-ish%. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So you
Thank
get, oh, go ahead, Jim.
No, I said thank you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, do you want to just talk very briefly just about what's going to happen next with the budget and the budget calendar?
Happy to.
Yeah. So we meet again next Monday, April the 6th, and the school superintendent and hopefully some school board members are going to be here in order to answer any questions that you might have or address any concerns that you might have regarding the school budget. I would urge you that if you haven't done so already, talk with Dr. Foley. I know that she's happy to meet with any of you in order to answer your questions about any questions or concerns that you may have about the budget, because I think that'll help to grease the skids. Because when we meet at our second meeting in April, which will be April 27th, that's the day at which we must have a public hearing and approval of a school budget in order to get the absentee ballots done in time for the school budget validation election. So that'll happen on April 27th. Also on the 27th, we've only got a few more departments to present their budgets. Those would be planning, code, recreation, and library.
And this is the 27th, not the 20th, because we are moving from the
Correct.
20th, right? Yeah.
Correct. And then on May the 4th, that's when we'll delve into the capital improvements budget. And as I said, because this budget's pretty easy because revenues are exceeding the increase of cost, that's going to be your most challenging decision, is to determine how much you want to invest in capital improvements in the coming year. And we'll do our best in order to just provide you some sort of forecast about how much budget surplus that you may have to play with.
About account balances.
The reserve accounts?
Yeah, like all of the reserve accounts and just any of the account balances
Yeah.
pertain to the budget.
So if you look in your at the CIP,
Yep.
which are the big folded sheets,
Yeah.
at the top of each one of those, you will see an accounting for the reserves for that particular department.
What day do you say is that? You said May
May 4th
4th.
be with you.
What's anymore? Can you turn the lights up a little?
Yeah.
Eyeballs are gonna pop out of my head here.
Not
Geez.
The other thing I also wanted to mention, I forgot to mention, that's sort of financial and budgetary related, is the auditor will be here on April the 27th also to present the town's audit report. Okay.
I think you guys have worked hard at the budget. I mean, I know everybody's gone, but Nick, thank you, and Anthony, thank you. I mean, to keep it, I think I can sit here and somebody asked me straight to my face, we're trying to keep everything as close to the vest as we can, coming up to our reevaluation. So saying that publicly, that's one of our main goals. And I really appreciate aligning our expenses to true expenses and what we're spending. So this is probably what I think my fourth or fifth budget cycle, and I still don't get a handle on every of it, but I'm happy to ask questions and happy to have people come in and listen to me.
As I said, we learn something from this process every single
Sure do.
year. So,
Yeah, Nick, thanks again.
and hopefully we get better at it.
Yes, I agreed. I think we are. So, to our credit. All right. So that we're going to close items 050 and we're going to open up items 051 at 8:15.
All right, so got so much light now, I can't even see.
So this is a consideration of recommendations from the Appointments Committee.
Appointments Committee to appoint Bethany Truen, Downtown Revitalization Committee, a new term expiring 12/31/27.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Anything online? No. All in favor? All are in favor? Great. All right. So we'll move on to other business. So we're going to have public comment. There's nobody here left in the audience, so there's nothing there, but anything online to have any public comment?
Oh, so we do have a hand raised
Okay,
here, so let me unmute.
sure.
Just
All right, Kat, I've asked you to unmute yourself.
Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I had asked a question, I put it in the chat, regarding the employee payout for the insurance plan. I was
Me
just
first.
curious
Sorry,
if they
wait.
take, oh, sorry, go
hold on
ahead.
1 second. Yep, just identify yourself. We're
Oh.
before.
This is Kat Hoy, resident of Winthrop. I just had a question. If an employee takes the payout, the 5,000 or whatever it gets decided to be, they join their spouse's insurance, they have proof that they did that, but then the spouse is laid off, so then they need the town insurance because they had a qualifying life event. Do we have any sort of policy set up for that?
So that's a good question, Kat. So how the payout occurs, it's not one lump sum, it's on a monthly basis. So if an employee had that sort of life-changing event, they could then enroll at that point and then would stop receiving the monthly stipend.
Gotcha. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, so,
Town manager report?
yes, please.
Okay, so we posted today the general assistance administrator job, and we also have a crossing guard job posted as well, if any of you are interested and you're good with children.
Kids love me, but
Taxes are due on Wednesday, so help spread the word. If you haven't paid your taxes, come on down.
do we lose our GA person, the new one we just hired?
No, so we are promoting her to be the finance assistant because she's done such a great job as the GA administrator, and
Idea that was.
Linda Filer is retiring on June the 2nd, and so Jen is going to be moving into that position, so we'll be looking for a new GA administrator. The hard part about that, Jen's done a super job, and so the hard part about was losing a really good GA administrator. I think I mentioned to you folks, the state was here doing an audit of all of her records and didn't find a thing. So
Isn't she doing a little bit of helping Mark and stuff too?
that's correct. She's serving as the office assistant to the planner and the code enforcement officer. As I mentioned a couple of times, I was at this training on Friday, and one of the things I learned during a legislative update is the legislature right now is considering a state moratorium on data centers. And so it looks like that is going to pass, so it's not something we would sort of need to address locally. The only question is that they're still wrestling with is for projects that are already in progress, whether or not they want to sort of shut those down. So, but the legislature is due to adjourn on April 15th, so hopefully we'll have a decision on that in the next.
Pardon my awful hearing, Anthony. A state moratorium on what?
Data centers,
Data centers.
AI
Yep.
facilities.
Yep. I can see
So-
why too.
So I did have a question for you folks regarding that. I thought about if this is the council's desire, emailing our state representatives just to say that yes or no, we're in favor of this moratorium.
I'll speak first if you can kind of look in this way. I think I talked to you about it. I don't know enough about it. I might have talked to somebody. I don't know enough what the impact is. So I think a moratorium is appropriate in this instance and get some studies. I'm not for or against it or either way right now, but I would like to have be a moratorium in place just so we can maybe some data could be gathered and presented to some people.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe similar, Jim, to when solar farms started coming on the scene and a lot of communities got caught flat-footed because they didn't have regulations. And so I think at the very least, a moratorium would allow time for
some studies,
state and communities to come up with, what are some sensible regulations so that they're not, for instance, hogging all of a community's water.
Yeah, no, I think it's smart. And that's just me. I can go around. Andy, you have any comment towards it as a council?
It's a tough one. Generally, I'm not in favor of moratoriums. But on the other hand, I've studied up a little on what data centers mean to a community, and this could cause real problems.
Sure.
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, Aaron?
My thoughts are in line with yours. I'm not for or against because I don't really know enough about that impact. I think there's room to study the issue.
Roy?
I mean, we have plenty of water now but we haven't developed a mill.
Yeah.
So,
That,
Yeah, I know everyone talks water. The power is the issue.
Yeah.
And I am in favor of doing it because it needs to slow down a little bit. Just needs to.
Yeah. And I did, I think I texted you guys, I heard an interesting podcast on the true cost of data centers. So if you're so inclined, it was a pretty interesting
I
podcast.
haven't checked that out yet. I'll have to
One of
look
the
at
other
that.
problems is if we're not prepared, we're not going to be dealing with a $10 million a year solar company, okay? We're going to be dealing with Amazon or,
Facebook.
we're going to get squashed if we're not prepared.
So I think you got the majority there. Thank you.
Also, I learned during that same session that, we had some talk around the table about EPS funding for schools. So there are some changes afoot, but they wouldn't actually take effect until FY30. So it's still a few years away. And even at that point, if a community is going to lose funding, it would be a phased approach. So it wouldn't just be like one big hammer coming down all at once.
Can I interrupt you for a second? With that, is it, they're looking to reduce it in certain ways? Or
I
is
think
it better incentives?
I think they're looking to ensure that the communities that need it most are getting.
Getting it. Okay. Thank you.
Wednesday night at 6 p.m., the county budget committee will be holding a hearing on the county budget. And I sent you guys some of my thoughts about the county budget. Unfortunately, I am not able to attend because Dr. Foley has asked me to speak at a school board meeting about a potential charter change regarding the school board. But if anyone wants to attend, that'll be at 6 p.m. Wednesday at the Hill House. Aaron went to the hearing last week in Waterville. So do you want to weigh in on that real quickly?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to wait till council comment, but.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I went, I was the only member of public that went, outside of county employees and the budget committee. And I raised the issues that Anthony had brought forth about, a 22% increase in the sheriff's budget. And they were very gracious and spent they spent all the time answering any question that I had for a good hour and a half or two. And I still have the same concerns that Anthony has, that the county, the sheriffs increasing their administrative pay significantly and adding 2 deputies and doing it all in 1 year instead of, trying to not make it such an impact. But I think there's a little bit of hubris on that end of things. It's his budget. He's going to do what he wants. The county administrator, Scott Ferguson, said, he will come and talk to us if we have further questions. Again, the April 1st is another opportunity. I did get a good signal from the budget committee that they are really taking a little bit more of a better approach in thinking long-term, trying to rebuild some of their fund balance because it's zero and pretty much, and they don't really have anything to work off of. And they've added some other employees. They added a journeyman, which is like a
tradesman
that can work on their ancient buildings that they have, which, there's that. So I did share thoughts about that as well, making smart decisions. But there's room for improvement, in my opinion. I don't hear a lot of talking about sharing resources with municipalities, being a little bit more, opening more communication. That's the biggest thing. There's a lack of communication between the municipalities and the county as far as services and what they are and where they need to go, what they're doing. We only hear about it when there's a huge increase. And so I think there's room for improvement. But if not enough of us tell them that, then they won't hear it. And I think they're isolated in like they're on their own island. So we have to do something. The other thought I had with that is I think we should talk to our legislators, maybe invite them here just in general to get a summary of, this last session. But then we could also propose talking about county tax formulas and getting legislation that's a little bit more fair, because I don't think that we should be fronting the cost for deputies that don't work in our community. Why is Litchfield's percentage in going down when they're adding 2 deputies and ours is going up? Where is the logic in that? I don't see it. So I think there's room for making that more fair. And then if he wants to increase his staffing, then he can justify it, talking to the communities that are going to pay for it and benefit from it. So that's there. I'll end it there.
For what it's worth, I totally agree with Aaron on that point. And I was going to propose that maybe we should, because right now, statutorily, we can't get any sort of consideration for the fact that we have our own police department and the sheriff's deputies rarely darken our door. There's no allowance for that in the formula. There'd have to be a change, as Aaron mentioned, in state law in order for that to happen. And so I was going to suggest, I'd be happy to work on an email to Tavis and Craig, but I actually think Aaron probably has a better idea. Maybe we should just invite them here and have a conversation with them about that.
Would it be, I mean, if our costs are going up compared to a community like Litchfield that's getting all the benefit from it, could we use could we request that some of their participation in the community, our community, and get some of our money back? Maybe save some of the overtime that we have and that we're spending on our police department for nights or something like that.
So are you saying we should ask the sheriff to, hey, if we're gonna pay, I just did a quick calculation here, somewhere in the neighborhood of $265,000 a year in order to support the sheriff's department. We'd like to see some patrol deputies in our community.
And that does not include, by the way, the jail, because that was one of the first things he said to me. And we had a good exchange, although I could see he was very irritated, but it's fine. But, the county jail. But guess what? What I was talking about had nothing to do with the county jail budget at all. And yeah, we use the county jail. So why are we fronting, I guess you could say that his raise of 7% is in line, although he doesn't administer the jail. So I don't know if he could really make that argument. But you should tell them when we have requested their services, what they have done in the last year.
Yeah, they've said no, thank you.
Where is our county commissioner with all this? MIA?
I don't know.
So, Joe?
I can tell you that the sheriff doesn't seem to like whenever he speaks because he was shaking his head the whole time whenever Joe said something. So I think he's probably made it known that he doesn't agree with any of it, but he doesn't care because he's a separate elected official. So he, again, has a feeling of like empowerment from that.
So, well, I just a general comment, okay? How many people here have been in the new courthouse?
Oh,
okay.
Testified 2
Try to
weeks
stay
ago.
out.
What?
I testified
Did
2
you?
weeks ago there.
Okay, so I had to go there to bail out someone. But the point of all this is, I walked in there and I was shocked, and you know how hard it is to make me speechless. But I was almost shocked, speechless. It was like, what a waste of money. I mean, a 3-story high lobby, all this grandiose. But why did we have to pay for that? I mean,
Question for the county.
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm like, we're not, Augusta, Georgia, we're Augusta, Maine.
Yeah, so I think under Aaron's thought, and if you're aligned with that, let's have our representatives come here and maybe have a
Yeah, I'll ask them that
little
question.
Q&A.
And to be fair, as Aaron mentioned, the jail represents about 50% of the county budget, but it only had like a 2.6% increase. It was,
Minimal.
minimal for an operation that size. If not for the $1 million increase in the sheriff's department budget alone, I don't know that there'd be any
Well, I
quibbling about the
I
county's
do like the
budget.
suggestion that Roy had, because we're not using those services. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't contribute a little bit, but it should be prorated.
Yeah.
At some level.
Totally agree.
Didn't they get their whopper of an increase last year? So they probably didn't need to increase much.
Yeah, they did get a whopper last year.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. But apparently the logic behind increasing the number of deputies is to reduce overtime, but they didn't reduce the overtime line item either. So, and they did that a couple of years ago, and it did not reduce overtime. So.
Right. Well, we'll put that one to bed right now. I'll let
Okay.
you continue.
All right. So just wanted to remind you at next Monday on the 6th, we have an executive session at 5:30. to deal with the poverty abatement that was previously tabled, so plan on being here at 5:30. Also,
The 5th?
that's on the 6th.
6.
Also, during that meeting, we'll have a discussion about a gender-neutral language policy. We'll have a discussion about the tax increment financing district. We'll have someone here who's knowledgeable about that to help continue our education about TIFs. And the comp plan committee has some thoughts it wants to share with you on housing. So pretty full agenda, especially when you think about talking about the school budget at the same time. And then let's see. Oh, just wanted to mention on, also on May the 4th, the police chief has worked on a safety zone ordinance to create a 750-foot buffer around schools and other municipally owned facilities so that registered sex offenders could not live within that
Good idea.
safety zone. I don't know, but the chief,
It was
the chief,
500 feet.
the chief has looked at some other ordinances and proposed this, and we've already run it by the attorney. So anyway, so we'll be bringing that. So
When we get to the TIF, Anthony, can you give us a rundown on, because by then I think the Mills TIF will have expired. Don't they expire in
I
March?
think this TIF expired 4 days ago.
Yeah, okay. So can you give us a rundown on the remainder of the fiscal year and what taxes are going to be due for them?
When they're going to be due?
Yeah, when and what's due? How much?
Okay,
Can you do that? I'd appreciate it.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you when they're due, April 1st and October 1st.
Yeah, but I mean, they're,
For just set date, it's prorated for the 4 days from this April 1st, which is going to happen. They're going to have to owe up to that and then the 4 days of the increase.
then the taxes go up to
And they
to
go
what
up
they
to
should
what
be.
the value it is. In
Yeah.
October, you'll really know what the building is going to be paying.
So
Okay. Anything else?
I'm done.
Thank you, sir. All right, so, thank you. Town council comment, anybody? Nope, seeing nothing, that's good.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All are in favor. Thank you. Everybody have a good evening.